विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने विष्णुपदाय
कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने
नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे
नमस्ते सरस्वती देव्ये गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
कलियुग पावन हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की
जय.
श्रील प्रभुपाद की
जय.
समावेत भक्त वृंद की
जय.
श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की
जय.
ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने. नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे. हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. Hare Krishna. We welcome all of you for the 7th session of Gita Rahasyam, 7th chapter. Many of you might have been attending the sessions from 1 to 6. Even if you missed it, you have come at the right time. Chapter 7 onwards and up to chapter 12. This is the cream of the Bhagavad Gita. It is like a jam in the bread, as I told you, between first 6 chapters, karma, last 6 chapters, jnana. In between, bhakti yoga is explained. So you have come at the right time. I am going to quickly revise what we did yesterday and then we will proceed further today. Okay? In the yesterday's chapter 6, first there was a discussion about whether the mind is an enemy or a friend. We discussed about the nature of the mind. And Lord Krishna gave us a solution to that. He said that by 2 things, by abhyas and vairagya, we have to detach our mind from all that is detrimental to our spiritual progress. And practice, abhyas, is actually the spiritual practice. Chanting Hare Krishna. In the path of spiritual life, every path, Nishkama Karma Yoga, and Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, all the paths have a prescription to be followed. And by following the prescriptions and prohibitions, gradually the mind can be brought under control. So, then the second section, we discussed about Ashtanga Yoga, 8 steps. And Krishna told Arjuna that when you are doing Nishkama Karma Yoga, when you get purified, you can actually go to the higher stage of Ashtanga Yoga, which will actually further purify you. And the goal is not only purification there. The goal is to see the Lord in your heart. The Lord of our heart is Lord Vishnu. A Ashtanga Yogi in a very highly purified stage called Yoga Rudha stage, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, he can see Lord Vishnu in his own heart. Now some of you had a question on why should a common man make such endeavors to purify his heart, attain knowledge and see Lord Vishnu in the heart. These things don't seem to be meant for we common people. We have to go to school, we have to go to college, we have to go to office, and we have a normal life to lead. Is it really necessary? People have this kind of questions. I will explain it in a very simple manner for you. Anybody living in this world is challenged by three great enemies in our own minds, which are lag. They're called lust, anger, and greed. Lord Krishna says these three are the three gateways to hell. To explain these three things to you in a very simple manner, I will tell you a little example which I told you before. Like a child, say he gets two or three pieces of gems. He likes it. And then once he eats it, that is called lust, means something not very good for you. You eat it, but it's very tasty. Then I want. That is called lust. And that turns into greed. I want more. Then you will ask the mom, tell me, where is it? Give me the whole packet. Give me 10 packets. Or if you don't give me, I will loot money from home and buy and eat it. This is called greed. So if you feed the child, he wants more and more of it. So lust turns into greed. And if you deny him, he will lie on the ground waving his hands and legs, crying that you are not giving me. He'll become angry. So both anger and greed come from one thing only called lust. So this lust, anger and greed, when it dominates our heart, we all have experience. We adamantly want certain things. Therefore we quarrel with other people in this world. There are very angry exchanges that we have sometimes. That anger means frustration in getting what we want, we are not getting, so we get frustrated. And if we get more, we want more and more and more, unlimitedly more, up to the point of encroaching upon others. So it is not only with Duryodhana or Ravana. We all in our own everyday life have the experience of facing these contaminations in our heart, and they have to be cleansed. And from these three things, three big enemies come out. What are they? Anger means controllership mentality. We want to control the other people. Even Durvasa Muni wanted to control Ambarish by creating a big demon to kill him. But he himself had to flee for his life because Sudarshan Chakra chased after him. If you don't know this pastime, you can ask the other devotees, they will tell you. Controllership. That comes from where? Anger. And from greed, another bad quality comes called proprietorship. Wanting to possess more and more. Like Duryodhana. He was not ready to give the kingdom back to Pandavas. Even though they had completed their term in the forest and come back, he wanted to usurp the kingdom and possess a earthly kingdom which he alone can rule, and he wanted to wipe out the Pandavas. That is, whether it be Duryodhana or Alexander or Hiranyakashipu, we want to possess more and more. Possess more and more of land, more and more of commodities. So due to that greed, people work very hard and accumulate more and more wealth, and they have no time for God. Thirdly, because of and then the lust is enjoyership mentality. I want to enjoy. Now, there are two mentalities in this world. One is bhoga-vritti, to enjoy. Another one is seva-vritti, which is to serve. Now, Hanuman had seva-vritti and Ravana had bhoga-vritti, which means asuras have bhoga-vritti and pure devotees have seva-vritti. And there is in-between category also, like the devatas. And the devatas like Indra and others, they want to serve God, but they also want to enjoy. They have that type of mentality. Therefore, you hear many stories of Indra getting into trouble. Because they want to serve the Lord also, they want to enjoy this world also. So why that category is important for us to know? Many times we may be in this category. That we have a desire to be a pious person, worship God, but we also have this enjoying mentality, controlling mentality, possessing mentality. If I give you an example, it will become very easy for you. Say, you see a cow. How does a butcher see a cow? He will see how fleshy the cow is. Let me kill the cow and let me eat it. This is asura, bhoga-vritti. Now, how does a farmer see the cow when he goes to the market to purchase a cow? He will ask how many liters the cow can give milk. He is ready to take care of the cow because the cow will give him milk. So he has a desire to serve the cow, but he also wants to extract milk from the cow. And if it is not giving enough milk, he doesn't want. So this is the demigods, devata mentality, which means like Indra and all I told you. They want to serve also, they want to enjoy also. And when the when a Brahmana sees the cow, he thinks, oh, this is Gomata. She is one of the 7 mothers. We can do Go Puja for her. And when she gives me milk, I will use the milk to convert into ghee and offer it in the Yajna Kund for the pleasure of Lord Vishnu. And I will drink this milk and nourish my brain tissues by which I can understand Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. So in this way, that's how a pure devotee will think when they see a cow. So when we look at the world around us, these 3 mentalities are there with people. Ravana had a Bhogavriti, and Hanuman had a pure Sevavriti, and Indra and other people have some Sevavriti and some Bhogavriti like that. So all of you ask yourself, we are in which plane? There is a angel within us, an animal within us. The angel is like Hanuman. The animal is like Ravana. So which one do you want to feed? Do you want to feed Ravana within you or Hanuman within you? So these lectures on Bhagavad Gita, we are trying to feed Hanuman within us, so that we can increase our Hanuman Vritti or Seva Vritti in us. So therefore, any common man or woman should be interested to cleanse the heart of these 3 impurities, namely lust, anger and greed, which is coming out as enjoyship mentality, controllership mentality, proprietorship mentality in this world. We have a bossing nature, dominating nature, troubling the other jivas, and they are all God's children. So if you become free from these 3 animalistic propensities, we will see that our mind becomes peaceful. Our mind is peaceful. You can be happy even in this world while dealing with other living beings, dealing with your seniors, juniors, equals. We can be free from all other enemies like envy, pride, and illusion. All that we can be freed. So here Lord Krishna wanted Arjuna to fight the battle of Kurukshetra, but Arjuna had his own idea. So Lord actually is teaching the Bhagavad Gita to engage him in his duty, and through that duty he wants to establish the dharma in all over the world. Similarly, all of us also, we have 2 goals in life, is it not? One goal is to lead a happy life in this world. Another goal is to, after death, attain perfection, about which many people don't know what is that perfection. But you would like to attain the best perfection possible after death also, isn't it? So Bhagavad Gita will give us answer to both these questions. But the beauty of Bhagavad Gita is, while living in this world, internally you have to cultivate a certain type of consciousness, which is a detached spirit from this world, while doing your duty and offering the fruits to God, desiring self-purification and desiring the pleasure of God and aligning with His words. And that's what Bhagavad Gita is teaching us. So when one goes to Ashtanga Yoga, actually anybody, even I was giving the example of Sabari. She was a girl, a young small girl. When she was 8 or 9 years old, she learned from Matanga Rishi how to do the Ashtanga Yoga, and eventually beyond 90 she saw Lord Rama, Ram and Lakshman. She got to see them, and she perfected her life in devotional service, Bhakti Yoga. She was Ashtanga Yogi, became a Bhakti Yogi. So we studied about the procedures of Ashtanga Yoga, and then in Ashtanga Yogis, it's not that all Ashtanga Yogis will become Bhakti Yogis. One question had come that Ashtanga Yogis sometimes, if they are going to see Vishnu in their heart, and Bhakti Yogis are also worshipping Vishnu or Krishna or Ram, then what is the difference? People may ask. There are Jnanis who have turned into Bhaktas later. Example is 4 Kumaras, who are sons of Lord Brahma. They were actually fixed on impersonal Brahman. One time when they were moving in the Brahma Jyoti, they came across the door of Vaikuntha. And then they crossed the 7 doors and they went in. In the 7th door, they saw the Jai Vijay, the 2 bodyguards of Lord Vishnu standing at the entrance, the Dwarpalakas. So they stopped them. So at that time, Lord Vishnu came to the door of Vaikuntha. And then the tulasi in the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, it carried a fragrance into the nose of these 4 Kumaras. And at the same moment, they became devotees. Simply by smelling that. Tasya Ravindanayanasya Padaravinda Kinjal Kamishra Tulasi Makaranda Vayuhu Antargatasva Vivarena Chakara Tesham Sankshobha Makshara Jusham Avichitta Tanvohu. This verse says that the fragrance of Tulasi touched their nose, and it created a great affection for Lord Vishnu. Tears came in their eyes and body trembled in affection for Vishnu, and they became devotees. So they were impersonalists, but they became devotees. Another example is Shukadeva Goswami. When he was born, when he came out of his mother's womb, at that time he was 16 years, he was refusing to come out, thinking that it's a world of Maya. But at last when he came out, he walked straight to the forest. And he was a great jnani. That is mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam. There were some women taking bath in a pond. They were not properly dressed. But he passed on the road. So when Vedavyas ran behind him calling Putra Putra, at that time the women immediately put on their clothes properly. And Vedavyas asked, how is it that I am fit enough to be your grandfather? You put on your clothes immediately. But when my son was walking through this same road, you didn't feel shy. So the woman said, your son knows not the difference between man and woman, and a tree and an animal. He only sees the Atma in every body. He is a realized jnani. Look at his eyes. They are so innocent and pure. They are unadulterated. Just like when we see a child, we can easily see child has no lust when the child is small. But when the child grows up, just like the moon is hidden, like a crescent moon, later on full moon comes. Similarly, when the child grows, when the senses develop, mind develops, then the lust is manifested. So, this is the Shukadeva Goswami. But when he went to forest, as a jnani, meditating on impersonal Brahman, he heard a very beautiful prayer, sung by a couple of woodcutters. Barha Pitam Natavaravapu Karnayor Karnikaram Vibrat Vasa Kanaka Kapisham Vaijayantim Chamalam Randran Venu Radara Sudaya Purayan Gopa Vrindair Vrindaranyam Swapada Ramanam Pravishad Gita Kirtihi. This is a song describing Krishna and Balaram and covered boys entering into the forest of Vrindavan, and Krishna playing on his flute, surrounded by his friends, and all of them joking with him. And when he heard this, immediately this Brahmagyani, he became amazed. He asked, tell me, who is this person? I want to see him. And another woodcutter sang another song talking about the deliverance of Putana, Rakshasi, who came to kill Krishna by smearing her breast with poison and feeding Krishna. But Krishna gave her Swarupya Siddhi in the spiritual world, Goloka. So when Shukadeva heard this, he cried tears and he fainted. Then he got up, he asked them, I want to learn this. From which scripture is it? Tell me. And who is your guru? They said, our guru is Vedavyas. They said, Vedavyas, he is my father only. Immediately he took a U-turn and went back home. And he learned the whole Srimad Bhagavatam from his father. So a Brahmagyani, impersonalist, turned into a bhakta. In this way, you will see in this world, somebody is in Jnana Yoga, somebody is Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Yogi sometimes, what he does? As he goes through these 8 steps, in between, he can develop a desire to walk on water, or fly on sky, or become smaller than an atom, or become very big, or create a planet just like what Vishwamitra did. He may start considering this siddhis to be very fancy, and he may get stuck. He may go to Siddhaloka, get siddhis and come back to earth and show to people, I can do this, I can do that, and he may get stuck on earth only. But if Ashtanga Yogi is fortunate, he will meditate on Vishnu in his heart, purify his heart, and he can go back to God. Now some of you have a question. Oh, we can walk on water, we can fly on sky. That's wonderful, sir. So why can't I be Ashtanga Yogi, get these things, come to earth, go to America, go to London, I will become very popular everywhere. There was one pilot Baba who came to Chennai. He said he can walk on water. So all the companies sponsored and everything, there was a program there, they were saying. So people may think, oh, I want to actually show off to people, I want to impress the people and do something very great. One may desire like that. Yes, you can do, but the problem is, Punarapi Jananam, Punarapi Maranam. You have to be born again and again in this world. You get old, you get disease, you die. So do you want to continue your term in this world, taking birth in different... Now you are a yogi, next life you may not be yogi also, correct, no? And you may not walk on water. You may be afraid of water also. So you may be a normal person, we don't know. So therefore, one should not get stuck in the Jnana Yoga platform or Ashtanga Yoga platform. The ultimate goal of Ashtanga Yoga is also to see the Vishnumurti in the heart and attain him. Therefore, Krishna said in the last verse, Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo mataha. He says, my dear Arjun, that yogi is the best yogi. He surpasses all the other yogis. Why? Because he constantly meditates on me. He meditates on me with great affection for me. Now, many of us may feel that I don't feel such great affection for God or Krishna. Okay, sir, he created this world. He has given me sun and moon, and he has given me my food to eat. Maybe I can say a thank you to him. But how I can fall in love with him? I can fall in love with my mother or with my father or brother or sister. But I don't feel such a connection with Lord Krishna. So then what do I do? Therefore, now Krishna starts the 7th chapter like this. First is hearing. He tells Arjuna, Arjuna, if you hear about me, you will become attached to me. And then he says, the goal of Bhagavad Gita is not detachment. The goal of Bhagavad Gita is attachment. Attachment to whom? Attachment to God. Attachment to God and love for God. That's the goal of Gita. And detachment will easily come. Once you develop attachment to God, you get the juice of loving relationship with Him, then detachment is very easy. For example, you have put a band-aid in the knee due to a wound or something. It's very painful. The next day morning you remove it, it's very painful. But put some water in there, then you put some water, it very smoothly comes out. Similarly, once you experience the juice of Krishna consciousness in your heart, then detachment from bad things is very easy for you. All bad habits will flee away. Just like you switch on a light, the darkness flees away. Like that, the bad habits will go away if one develops a affection for the Lord. Therefore, Krishna tells Arjuna that you have to hear about me. That's the very first verse. Maya saktamana partha yogam yunjan madashrayah asamshayam samagram mam yata ajñāsasi tat shrunum. Just hear, Arjun. I will tell you about myself. And asamshayam samagram mam. You will not have any doubt about me. Samagram means you will completely give your heart to me when you hear about me, he says. So, this is the beauty of this chapter. He will tell us about, Krishna will reveal many truths to us about him. And the second thing is about everywhere. Everywhere means, Krishna also establishes in this chapter that he is the essence of everything. He will also say he is cause of everything first, and he is also the essence of everything. So, as we proceed, I will explain about it more. And then, if that is so, then why not all people surrender to Krishna? Some accept him and some reject him. Then Krishna will give reasons for that. And then the last section, Arjuna also asks questions about those who don't surrender to Krishna, but surrender to someone else like the Devatas. So, many of you attending this program may also be worshipping Shiva, Ganesh, Kartikeya, Devi. They are all great Devatas. So what about those who are worshipping the Devatas and going to Devatas for seeking material benefits? So Krishna clarifies that point also. It's a very interesting chapter, very important chapter. So this is the first one, hearing. See, here he says, therefore from chapters 7 to 12, Krishna presents the knowledge of himself as Supreme Personality of Godhead to inspire and strengthen our bhakti. So, if our bhakti is very, very minimum, it will inspire our bhakti more. And if you already have some bhakti, it will strengthen your bhakti more, this chapter. Because the faith comes from knowledge. So, when you get knowledge of Krishna's position, then more affection will be developed. That is the verse I told you just now. Yeah. So, in the second verse, Krishna says, my dear Arjuna, I will give you in this verse, both jnana and vijnana. Here there are two meanings. One meaning of jnana vijnana is jnana means the greatness of God, and vijnana means the sweetness of God. Like you see in the picture here, Krishna expands the spiritual and material worlds in one picture. Next picture you find is lifting the sandals of Nanda Baba, which is Krishna's sweetness of dealing as a subordinate to his devotees. So both I will give you, he says. Another meaning of jnana vijnana is, jnana means knowing the difference between material body and soul. And vijnana means knowing the difference between soul and super soul. So both you will learn, Arjuna, he says. So here the chapter 7 to 8, it describes the jnana, and vijnana will be described in 9 as well as in 10 and 11. We will see them. So then Arjuna asks a question. So Krishna, then who comes to understand this knowledge which you are teaching me? And Krishna said, it's very rare. He says, 1 out of 1,000 people try for perfection, Arjun. And amongst them, those who try for perfection, 1 out of thousands of such people may understand me in truth. Although many of us are aware of the person, the name Krishna in our life, we have our own understandings, and there are many misunderstandings about Krishna's activities also. So therefore Krishna said, the one who understands me perfectly, they are actually 1 divided by 10 to the power of 6. They are extremely rare. He said. So the second one is everywhere. So this is our beginning of knowledge. We can see Krishna's presence by observing the world around us. Like here he will say now. Bhumirapo nalo vayu khammano buddhirevacha ahankara iti yamme bhinna prakritirashtadha. He's saying, Arjuna, first observe the world around you. There is Panchamahabhut, earth, water, fire, or ether, and mind, intelligence, and ego in your body. These are 8 elements which are my separated energy, he says. Bhinna me. So Prabhupada noted this word me and said, Krishna says it is his energy. That means the whole material world is created by him and maintained by him and later on destroyed by him. And repeatedly created and maintained and destroyed. Bhutva bhutva praliyate, several times. So that means everything in this world belongs to him. Like Krishna is called Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. We heard about it in the 5.29, isn't it? Here Krishna says that also. That means all the scientists, when they are making a list of the metals in the Mandel's periodic table in the top, they have to write the sloka, they have to put Bhinna me prakritirashtada. This material world is a energy of the Lord, material energy. It's called external energy or inferior energy. Why it's called inferior? Like because it is Jada Prakriti. It has no consciousness. It's not Chetan. So it's called external energy or Jada Prakriti. And then he says, there is another world, my dear Arjun. Apareyam idastuvanyam prakritim viddhi me param jiva bhuta mahabaho yedam dharyate jagat. As you see here, Krishna and Balram and all the covered boys, this is the Goloka Vrindavan, the spiritual sky. So in the spiritual world, he says, many jivas are living, but those jivas have come to the material world, and now they are wandering in the material world. But that world is called Antaranga Shakti, or internal potency. And like we can say, Krishna and the and Radharani can be compared to, or Krishna and the spiritual world can be compared to sun and sunlight. And the material world can be compared to clouds. Why? Because cloud is separated from the sun and it is way below the sun. Whereas the sun and sunlight are together, isn't it? Or moon and moonlight are together. So that is internal potency and this is called external potency. So the cloud is external. Whereas the sunlight is very close to the sun or moonlight is very close to moon. That is internal potency. Like that. Not only that, when there is a cloud, that cloud blocks our vision of the sun. Is it not true? Similarly, this Maya Shakti, external energy, blocks our vision of spiritual world. Blocks our vision of Krishna also. because of which everybody in this world is wandering, now not knowing the ultimate goal of life. Therefore we say, asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. From this world of death, we should go to that world of immortality. From this world of darkness, we should go to the world of light. From this world of temporary jada padartha objects, we should go to the world of full consciousness. So in this way, these lines also say confirm the same thing. And then, see, our soul is covered by two coverings. Just like you wear a shirt outside, then you wear a banyan inside, and inside the banyan you have your body. Similarly, the soul has two coverings also. The soul is Satchidananda, which is called eternity, knowledge and bliss. And outside it there is a covering of man, buddhi, ahankar, mind, intelligence and ego, subtle body. And then there is earth, water, fire, air, ether, which is the one which you see outside, earth, water. Like earth represents all the flesh in our body. Water is represented by the liquids like the blood and everything. Fire is the heat in the body. And there is air also, there is ether. Ether is a space and sound. And mind is the storehouse of all the thoughts which we send through the senses, I told you. Intelligence is a decision maker. So you can compare our body to a computer also. In a computer you have a CPU. Similarly, the intelligence we have. In a computer you have a hard disk to store information. That is like the mind. And ego is actually the connection between the material body and the soul. The soul, when it identifies with the subtle body, then the ego is the one that shunts the subtle body to the soul. It's a connection. It's called false ego, we call it. There's a true ego also. True ego means, like Hanuman thinks, I am Ramadut. That is true ego. And false ego means Ravana thinks, I am the master. This Lord Rama, he is only a forest dweller. Like that he thinks. That is false ego. So we need to move from false ego to true ego. And also, as I told you, the lust, anger and greed are dominating our heart. So we have to cleanse the mind by the chanting of Hare Krishna, and then move from the platform of lust to love. Once you transform the lust to love, then we become completely pure. Yeah. Here, Krishna is saying, my dear Arjuna, I create all these universes, and I create them, maintain them, and I destroy them. And again I create. And why have I created this facility? Just like Pune, our Pune city has got a jail in Aravada. Somebody may ask, why is a jail created? Jail is created for reformation. So, in the Pune city, if somebody is too much encroaching on others' property by possessive mentality, or they are too much bossing over people by controlling mentality or enjoying mentality, they are troubling the other people, by looting others' property and things like that, then they are put in the jail. Then they reform in the jail, then they are allowed to come out. Same way, material world is like a jail. And here Krishna is saying a very important verse. Matta paradaram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya mayi sarvamidam protam sutre maniganaiva. He is telling, one Acharya has given a very beautiful commentary. He says that those who are atheists, they make many arrangements in this world to bring everything out successful. That is like keeping the monies next to each other. If you just do like this, then all the monies will get disturbed. Whereas devotees follow the path of Krishna. That is like the monies which are all brought together and tied with a nylon inside. Like this Kantimala now. Kantimala is in its place. How? Because all the monies are aligned together with the nylon thread. The nylon thread represents Krishna. Sutre Manigana Iva. So Arjuna is telling Arjun, everything is kept in the place because I am actually supporting everything and I am the essence of everything, he says. So he says that as the pearls are strung on a thread, I am keeping all the earth is revolving, sun is moving, and all the solar system and all the whole galaxy and clusters, everything is in place because I am present, Krishna says. So now I have very briefly given here from Srimad Bhagavatam about the creation. I have made it as simple as possible. If you want to read more exhaustively, you can read Bhagavatam. See, there are two creations, Sarga and Visarga, primary creation of matter and elements, and secondary creation by Lord Brahma within the universe. So, as you see here, Bhagavan Eka Asedam Agra Atmatmanam Vibhuhu, it is said. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, the master of all living entities, existed prior to the creation. Somebody asked me a question, Prabhu, how did you say Lord is outside the time domain? So this verse says that Lord Krishna exists eternally in the spiritual world. And he existed before the creation. And he is the one who created everything. And then there are, just like in this world you see many planets, in the spiritual world also there are many planets. But what is the difference? In this world there is only one planet which is glowing, which is the sun. But in the spiritual world every planet is glowing, self-effulgent, and every planet is predominated by one of the forms of Vishnu. Keshava, Narayana, Madhava, Govinda, Vishnu, Madhusudan. Like that there are many names of the Lord. And the Vaikuntha planets are there. And the chief of all the Vaikuntha planets, just like in a necklace, you have a pendant. And the pendant type of main abode is Goloka, which you see here. So Lord Krishna resides in Goloka with all his devotees, Goloka Vrindavan. From there he expands into the material world as Mahavishnu. See, here it's called Swa-amsha. He expands as Vishnu or Balaram. He expands as many other Vasudeva, Sankrishna, Pradyumna, Aniruddha and all that. But we are called Vibhinnamsha, servant jivas. So Swamshas are all masters. Purushottam, like Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narsimha, they are all masters. But Vibhinnamsha, we are all servants, jivas. We are very tiny. And masters are direct expansion of Krishna. We are tiny, separated parts and parcels. And you see, this is Mahavishnu, who creates many, many universes. And Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattas sarvam pravartate. He says, everything has emanated from me, Arjun. He says that. See, our whole universe is comparable to a small mustard seed in a bag full of mustard seeds. That means if you take the Brahmanda in which we are living now, like that, Vishnu is creating millions of such Brahmandas from his body. And imagine all of them are inside a sack. And outside that sack is spiritual world. See, Mahavishnu by his glands called Shambhu. That glands is called Shambhu. He impregnates all the jivas into the womb of Durga Mata. Durga Devi. Durga Devi is personified material energy. So material world is called Devi Dham. And the Vaikuntha spiritual is called Haridham. So right now we are in Devi Dham now. So therefore Shiva and Durga are the jiva's parents in the material world. And Radha, Krishna, Lakshmi Narayan, Sitaram, they are jiva's eternal parents in spiritual world. So Radha, Krishna, Lakshmi Narayan, they are like global parents for us. When you forget the global parents, you get a local parents. Now all of you in your own home, inside your home, you have one mother, father. They are your local parents. But next life you will get one more parent. Prati janme janme pita mata paya. If you are a dog, you get dog mother, dog father. If you are a human, you get human mother, human father. But if you become perfect and go back to Godhead, you get the global parents. And they are eternal, you are eternal, you will never die, God will never die, and the relationship is also eternal. Yeah. So Lord Krishna or Vishnu is the Shaktiman. And Radha or Lakshmi is called Antaranga Shakti. And Durga Devi is Bahiranga Shakti. So the material world is predominated by Durga Mata. She has a Trishul in her hand. She appears with 10 hands. And Chandi, Chamandi, Bhadrakali, many names she has. So she has a Trishul which represents the Adhyatmika, Ati Devika, Ati Bhautika Kleshas, which means miseries arising from your body and mind, miseries arising from other living beings give you trouble, and miseries arising from like corona, that kind of, epidemic or pandemic, or many types of tsunami or bhukampa and all those things. So in this way, she has a Trishul, and she is a jailkeeper of this material world. And the spiritual world is presided by Lakshmi Narayan, Sitaram, Radha Krishna, those divine personalities. They are called Antaranga Shakti, this is Bahiranga Shakti. So, in the dawn of creation, when Lord creates many, many universes from his body, they are all clustered together. And that state is called Pradhan. Because it's undifferentiated. It's like one material. And then Lord enters into this universes as a time factor. Yeah. And then Lord Mahavishnu expands as Garbhodaksha Vishnu within each universe. So here I have elaborated more. Later on leisurely you can go through it. I will not talk about each of this. See, inside the universe, he creates the Shabda Sparsha Rasa Rupa Gandha. This type of gigantic body which is called Virat Purusha. From Garbhodaksha Vishnu's body only Virat Purusha comes. And the Virat Purusha has the global mind, global intelligence, global ego he has. And also he has the global senses. And then individually for each of the jivas to create, these facilities are provided like this. How from Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, they mix with Ahankar and then we get these items. So it's very elaborately explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord enters each universe. Like this, in each universe, Mahavishnu enters as Garbho Dakshai Vishnu, because Garbha means Brahmanda. And then he is lying in Anantashesh at the bottom of the universe. He creates water which fills up half the universe. And then he lies down in it. You may wonder how he produces so much water. We are a tiny jiva, we produce little sweat in our body. And Lord is God, so he can produce huge quantity of water. So in this way, Krishna expands as Mahavishnu, source of all universes, from whose body all the universes come. When he wants to create, Krishna doesn't create himself. He expands as Mahavishnu and creates. Then inside each universe he enters as Garbhodaksha Vishnu. How do you differentiate between the two? Garbhodaksha Vishnu is lying within the universe, and from his navel comes a lotus, which is called, he is called Pankajanabi. And in that Brahma is born. And then he expands as Kshirodaksha Vishnu. Kshira means milk. And this Vishnu resides beyond the 14 planetary systems in this universe. And he also occupies the heart of every living being. Like in our heart, I told you about Vishnu yesterday, Ashtanga Yogis meditate. That is called Kshirodaksha Vishnu. So where is this been mentioned? It's this verse is from Satvata Tantra. Vishnostu Trini Rupani Trini Purushakhyanyato Viduhu. They are all expansions of the Supreme Purusha Krishna. Ekastam Mahataha Srishtir. One of them does Brahmanda, Srishtis of Brahmanda, that is Mahavishnu. Dvitiyam Anda Samstitam. He enters into every Brahmanda. Tritiyam Sarva Bhutastam. Third, Vishnu enters into the heart of all living beings like us. Tani Atva Vimuchyate. If you know this truth, you are liberated already, it says. So you all already know the truth. Now we have to just develop faith in it. So the Mahavishnu is called omnipotent because he creates millions of universes. And Garbhodaksha Vishnu is called omnipresent. He is present in every Brahmanda. And Kshirodaksha Vishnu is called omniscient because he is present in the heart of everybody. All knowing. He is omniscient. So omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient. And all of them come from Krishna. They emerge from Krishna and they are sheltered in Krishna. So in this way, Mahavishnu enters the Garbhodaksha Vishnu into each universe. And this is who? Who is this Vishnu? Because Brahma is there, you can see. It's Garbhodaksha Vishnu. Who is this one? Garbhodaksha Vishnu, because he has Brahma sitting in his lotus from his navel. I'm just testing you in between, if you're understanding. Yeah. In this way, Prabhupada says, in the spiritual world there is no creation and destruction, but in material world there is creation and destruction. In this way, Krishna says in the 9th chapter also, Prakritim swamavashtabhya visijami punah punah. I am Srishti I am doing, and I am Samhara also I am doing, destroying them. And then repeatedly they are created like this. And how do I manage to keep all the planets in their respective orbits without clashing with each other in this universe? Because I enter into each planet by my energy, Krishna says. Have you ever heard, see the 9 planets, the Pluto is the last planet. But instead of being the 9th planet, the scientists found sometimes it becomes the 7th planet. And are wondering how. Then they found all the 8 planets are revolving in concentric circles, whereas the Pluto is coming in between. In between the 7th and 8th planet sometimes. Other times it's going out. Scientists found that. But have you ever heard a story Pluto clashed with Neptune or something? Because Krishna is there, present within all of them through his energy. He says in the 15th chapter, Gama Vishyaja Bhutani Dharayam Yahamojasa, he is saying. By my ojas, by my Shakti, I am maintaining all the planets in their respective orbits, Arjun. In this way, he is saying, in this world, whatever beautiful things you see, that is only a spark of my splendor, he says. Like the beautiful peacock, or the beautiful rainbow, beautiful Grand Canyon. or the beauty in people, the strength in people, the knowledge in people, and the sweetness of the cuckoo. The cuckoo sings very sweetly, isn't it? Huh? So then you can understand Krishna's voice must be sweeter than the cuckoo. Certainly. Similarly, peacock dances very beautifully. Then Krishna's dance must be more beautiful than that. Because all are coming from him only. Anything which has come from him is exhibiting some opulence. That means, look at the original, how powerful it must be. Like a dance teacher is teaching some girls to dance. And imagine those girls are putting up Arangetram very powerfully. Naturally, you can know the teacher must be very powerful, very learned. Similarly, Carnatic music, some of our devotees are singing very beautiful alapanas. You can know that they have got training from a teacher who must be even more greater. So, Krishna is the source of all the opulences and beauties. And he is the source of all the Vishnus. I told you now. This is Brahma Vimohan Leela, where Krishna proves the same point. From Krishna, many Vishnus come. But you never see from one Vishnu many Krishnas coming. You will never see them. So again I have revised it here because you may forget, therefore I have shown for the second time. Now I will not explain it, I have already explained to you. And this Vishnu, see from his navel what is coming out? Who is this? And this is Bhuloka where we are right now. So you can know your position, geographically where you are located, around this time. These are called Atala, Sutala, Mahatal, Talatal, Rasatal, Patal, lower planets. And these are called Bhuloka, Bhuloka, Swaloka, Mahaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka. 14 planetary systems. So all these 14 are within one Brahmanda. Yeah, this is the Brahmanda. So in this way, this is one Brahmanda now. Some of you had asked, where is heaven? Here is the heaven. Above Bhuloka, Bhulok, Swarlok. So these are the heavens. And if you go to Maharlok, Janalok, many tapasvis are living there. And if you go to Janalok, Satyalok and all, many rishis, munis are sitting with Brahma and performing great worship of Lord, Supreme Lord. They all become more spiritual as you go ahead. First 2-3 planets are little materialistic. They have Indra and Apsaras and Nandana gardens and Gandharvas and all those things are there. Then when you go below Bhuloka, Atala, Sutala, Mahatal, Talatal, there is one full chapter in Bhagavatam, subterranean planets. You can read about them if you want. So now you got an idea of the Brahmanda in which we are all living in. So all this creation is done by Krishna. So who is this Vishnu here? Kshirodaksha Vishnu, the third Vishnu. He lies in a milk ocean which is beyond the 14 planetary systems within the Brahmanda. That place is called Shvetadvipam. So this Kshirodaksha Vishnu stays in Shvetadvip. And therefore whenever there is some demon like Kamsa and others come, Bhudevi along with Brahma and all the Devatas, they go to the beyond the 14 planetary system, they go to the Shvetadvipa. To meet whom? Kshirodaksha Vishnu is lying in milk ocean. They all bow down to him like you see here and they beg for help. And he is the one who keeps all the avatars ready and sends them one by one. Matsya, Kurma, Varaha, Narsingha. He is given all the avatars to keep with him and then he is the one who releases those avatars. And he also has two other very important aspects. One is he enters into every atom. If he is not present in atom, electrons cannot revolve. Remember that. Any movement cannot happen without his presence. He is present in every atom as you see here. And he is also present within your heart as super soul. And he is present even between space between atoms. There is no place where he is not present. Yeah, he is Paramatma in every jiva, animal, birds, trees. Everywhere he is present. He is super soul. So some of you may be hearing these things for the first time. I know it's a bit difficult to remember all the names. But you will have this PPT with you. Later on, slowly go through it. Leisurely. So this is all till now primary creation is done of matter and elements. Then the secondary creation will be done by Brahma, which is called Visarga. And I am not going to explain it. Here I have shown that Krishna is the source of all the avatars. He is actually the master of all the devatas. Like I told you, all the 33 crore devatas are like the Mukhya Mantris. And Krishna is like the Prime Minister. Prime Minister is only one. And everybody else is subordinate to him. And the devatas are very happy being subordinate to him. And they serve him also. Only in this world people don't know that the devatas are all ultimately worshippers of the Supreme Lord. Many people have confusion about it. So here Brahma glorifies this form of the Supreme Lord Krishna. Venum Panantamaravindalayataaksham Barhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpa kamaneya vishesha shobham Govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. He says that Lord Govinda, he has eyes like lotus petals, and he wears a peacock feather, and he also stands in a threefold bending form, and he has cows which are called Surabhi cows, which give unlimited supply of milk any time of the day, all day. And he has got Kalpavriksha trees in the spiritual world which can fulfill any desire of anybody. And he lives in that spiritual abode. Like that he glorifies, Brahma glorifies. So, Brahma not only creates the ignorance in this world, there are 5 Ajnana Vrittis, I will not explain about that. But he also is awarded by the Lord the Vedas. So that when all the jivas in this world will wander in Maya, Brahma gives in Guru Parampara the knowledge which you all are getting today. This is coming in Guru Parampara. I am a grand disciple of Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada comes in the Guru Parampara of Brahma Madhava Gaudiya Sampradaya. So by receiving this knowledge, the jivas can become enlightened, become devotees, practice Krishna consciousness nicely and go back to Godhead. So in this way, Lord is giving facility for us to eat and sleep and produce children and defend ourselves on one hand. On the other hand, he is also enlightening us through the Guru Parampara starting from Brahma. That is the goal of life. Now here, in 8 to 11, Krishna is telling about how he is the essence of everything. I am the taste of water, he says. Rasoham apsu kaunteya prabhasmi shashi suryayo. He says that all of us, when you are very thirsty on a hot sunny day, if somebody gives you a chill pot water, how nice it is, isn't it? And also none of us like to drink ocean water. It is saltish. But we like to drink chill, cool waters. And he says, when you drink the water, remember Krishna. Oh, this is Krishna I am taking in. Like that one should drink. Because he has created the taste in the water. And he says, Prabhasmi Shashi Suryayo. I am the light of the sun and I am light of the moon also. He says, so the light is, light coming from the sun is Ashesha Teja. So much energy and light is coming out of the sun. No scientist has put it up there. And you can see we all are putting solar panels and drawing so much from the sun without paying sun a single penny. And Krishna says that the light of the sun, I am providing, I am the light of the sun, he says. I am the source of the moon also, light of the moon. And the light of the moon comes to the earth and it supplies the juices in all the fruits and vegetables. Sometimes a farmer wants to make quick money. So he takes the bananas which are green in color. He doesn't allow the moon to act on it. And then he puts a smoke and makes it yellow and sells it, and it is not at all tasty. Chow, 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 no taste only. So we should allow all the fruits to be touched by the moonlight. Moonlight supplies 6 types of juices. Sweet, pungent, salt, sour, bitter and astringent. Isn't it? So Krishna says, I am the light of the moon. He says, Pranava Sarva Vedeshu. So there are some jnanis who are chanting. Om, Om, they are chanting. I am that, Krishna says. And Shabdakhe Paurusham Drishu, he says. I am the sound vibration in the ether. And he is saying, Shabdakhe Paurusham Drishu. I am the Paurusham, ability in man. He says. He says, Punyo Gandha Pratibhyamscha. The fragrance of earth is also me, he says. Like when the rain shower comes, when it touches the earth, that fragrance of the earth you have felt, isn't it? I am that fragrance of the earth also. Yeah. You see, amazingly, if you take a rose seed and you break the seed, smell like this, it won't give any smell. But you put it in the earth, and then the rose plant grows, and then when the rose flower comes, you get the fragrance. So Lord has made an arrangement in the earth. He has given a program to the earth to supply a particular type of fragrance to particular type of seeds, isn't it? Yeah. And Tejas Chasmi Vibhavasav. He is saying, I am the heat in the fire. Imagine if fire is like this, it has no heat. Can you cook in the kitchen? Fire is very much needed to run industries, run the kitchen and everything. Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu. There are many living entities, 8.4 million species of life. I am the life of all that lives. Actually, all these jivas, they depend on the Lord for their food. Everybody has a specific type of foods. They totally are dependent on Him. Actually, scientists and industrialists, they can create many nuts and bolts, but nobody can give you a grain. They can't create one grain. And I am the tapas of the tapasvis, he says. That means the tapasvis are able to control the senses, control their mind through meditation. And how do they get that ability? I provide them the inner strength to be able to restrain the senses. Otherwise, in this world, practically every living entity becomes a slave of the passions and carnal pleasures, like the bodily pleasures. But how do the tapasvis gain the strength? Krishna says, I supply them the strength. Yeah. And Bijam Mam Sarva Bhutanam Vidhi Partha Sanatanam Buddhir Buddhimatam Asmi Tejas Tejasvinamaham. He says that I am the seed of all existences. 8.4 million species were created by me, he says in Padma Purana. Like for example, out of 120 cows, desi cows, only 30 are available now because the others have become extinct. Can any scientist create them? If you want to have again all those desi cows back, you have to go to Krishna and say, my dear Krishna, please give the seed of those cows. Because he is the originator of the seeds. Because the bhumi, the nature is mother, but Krishna is the seed-giving father. If he doesn't put the seed in the ground, then you can't get a mango tree to produce so many mangoes. So the seed is given by the father for all the species of life. Like this is Newton sitting under an apple tree. When the apple fell on his head, immediately he thought, oh, there must be a Gurutvakarsan, gravitational pull. So Krishna gave him the spark of intelligence. Krishna says, I supply the intelligence to the intelligent people, he says. He gives the brain to all of us. Without intelligence, good intelligence, we can't function in this world. He says, I have created the body, I have given the brain intelligence. Tejas tasmi, Tejas Tejasvinamaham. I am the strength of the powerful. Balam Balavatam Chaham. The saintly kings use their strength only to protect the weak, not to show their personal aggression. See, this fellow is trying to control the whole world, and that's the meaning. And then he says, I am the sex born of religious principles. If a man and woman come together in marriage and take a religious vow to beget children, Krishna says, I am that born of religious principles. And I am not that sex which is not born of religion. So in this way, I am the essence of all these things, he says. And then he says, Ye chaiva satvika bhava rajasastamasascha ye matta ye vetitan viddhi natpaham teshu te mayi. Although all these things emerge from me, Arjun, I am independent of them. Now I want to play one recording. This is from Gitamrita by His Holiness Purnachandra Maharaj. Beautiful CD he has produced. You can hear this and I'll speak.
Krishna, you say that those who surrender can cross beyond bondage. Then why don't all intelligent people surrender to you? Arjun, those who are foolish and proudly think themselves scholars are actually bewildered. They are like the blind leading the blind. They never surrender. Of these, there are 4 kinds. First is the mudha, who is like an animal, attached to the fruits of his work. He thinks that I am bound by karma like he is. He never takes time to hear about me, but prefers to hear mundane topics, which is like a hog eating stool. Second are the Naradama, who are socially and politically developed, but have no religious principles. They are born in a good family, but they become attached to mundane poetry and other subjects. Thus, they do not take to the goal of life. Next is a class called Mayayapritagyana. They are mostly very learned fellows, but the illusory energy misguides them. They follow atheistic Sankhya and think that the creation is caused by material nature. They see that nature and not me as the controller, even though the Vedas clearly explain this. The last rascal takes shelter of the demoniac nature. He hates me and wants to kill me, like Jarasandha. All these rascals have some knowledge, but still they do not surrender to me. Hey, boss.
So you heard about these 4 categories of people now. Krishna says in this 15th verse, Arjuna was wondering, oh Krishna, now I have understood that all this material world is created by you. You are the Supreme Lord. Then why not, when people know this, not only that, Arjuna asked, now these 3 gunas, sattva, rajas, tamas is spreading in this world, and all the jivas are caught in a maze, like a rat caught in a maze. They are not able to come out. They are in a rat race now. So how can the jivas be delivered? And then Krishna said, my dear Arjuna, it's very easy. The Maya is very difficult to overcome. In the 14th verse, he says, famous verse, Daivi hi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mameva ye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. He said, on their own, the jivas cannot come out of this world to go back to Godhead, Arjun. But if they depend on me, if they become my devotee, they can very easily cross beyond it. I'll tell you an example, you will understand it. One time near Ocean Beach, Prabhupada and his disciples were walking. And Prabhupada had one very fat disciple whose name was Brahmananda Prabhu. And Prabhupada showed one small, tiny child of a crab. And Prabhupada said, Brahmananda, can you catch that small insect? So Brahmananda went to catch it in the hand. But the tiny crab went inside the water. And Brahmananda came back to Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, I couldn't catch it. He said, Prabhupada laughed and said, such a man with a huge body, you couldn't catch a tiny insect? Sorry, Prabhupada, I couldn't catch it. And Prabhupada said, you see, in the same manner, Prabhupada said, like you have a very fat body, big body, Maya is also very powerful. But she cannot catch you when you go under Krishna's lotus feet. When you take shelter of the greatest Lord, then Maya cannot touch you. He said. And we all have experience. Like if you go to somebody's house, they have a bulldog which comes running to you. If you run away, it comes running behind you. If you take a stick and beat it, it will bite your hand. Then how to escape from a bulldog? Just call the owner of the house. Call your friend. Hey friend, look at this dog. And the friend will say, hey Tommy, he will say. As soon as the dog heard the word Tommy, immediately it will leave you and go to the master and sit next to master wagging his tail. You have seen that? So Durga Mata is actually a servant of Krishna. She is a servant maid of Krishna. So if we take shelter of Krishna, then Krishna will tell Durga, hey Durga, leave this fellow. He is not actually going to pursue the path of lust, anger and greed. He wants to cleanse his heart and come back to me. So that's what he's saying. Mameve prapadyante maya metam sarandite. Hearing this, Arjuna said, oh, then you made our life very easy, Krishna. Then let the whole world surrender to you. Like that Arjuna said. Krishna said, no, Arjun. There are people who never surrender to me. And there are 4 categories, he said. Dushkritina means they are very intelligent people. Kritina means intelligent. Sukritina means those who act piously. Dushkritina are perverted genius. They create atom bomb and destroy people. They will do that kind of thing, but they will not surrender to the Lord. And prapadyante nara adhama, he says. Nara adhama means those people who are born in families where they never had a garbhadan sanskar before begetting a child. Or after coming out of the womb, they never had a 40 sanskaras. There at least 10 of them are very prominent. Like Annaprashan sanskar, Namakaran sanskar, like that. Yajnopavita dharanama. So all those things they have not done sanskaras. Or even if they didn't do sanskaras, they never approached any guru for learning about spiritual knowledge, and they spend their whole life like cats and dogs. They are called Naradama. And the Maya Aparita Jnana people are even learned in Vedas, Puranas, Upanishads, but their intelligence is stolen by Maya because they become scholarly people and they actually are suspicious about Krishna. They even criticize Krishna in their writings. So such scholars actually mislead the public by giving misinterpretation of the Vedic literature. And Asuram Bhavam Ashita are the demoniac categories of people who adopt, you will read in the 16th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, they are extremely demoniac in nature. They derive delight in torturing and troubling other living beings. Like they kill millions of cows in missions. They indulge in illicit sex and they commit abortion and such kinds of things. They indulge in very horrible activities. So these type of people are not interested in God and they will never turn to me, Arjun, he said. And then Arjun wanted to know, then who turns to you, Krishna? Who comes to you? He asked him.
Who are the people that do surrender? Arjun. Also 4 kinds of men who begin to render devotional service to me. The first one is the distressed, who has had some calamity, sickness in the family, or some other problem, and who desires to get rid of it. Next is the one who wants wealth, opulence, or land. He wants pleasure in this world or in the next. The third type is the inquisitive one, and his object is self-realization, or Sanskrit grammar, or logic. These are men of discrimination, who are better than the previous two, but still they have desires. These three are called Sakam Bhaktas. They surrender, but have desires. The last kind is the Gyani, the one in knowledge. He knows that he is a spirit soul, that there is a super soul, and that he is part and parcel of the Supreme. He also has desires, but not material desires. Rather, he wants liberation. He is therefore called Nishkam. He performs bhakti to obtain liberation, but when he surrenders to me, it is out of love. Out of these four, who is the best, Krishna? Of these, the one who is in full knowledge, the Gyani, who is always engaged in pure devotional service, is the best, Arjun. Why is that? Because he is always in union with me in one-pointed devotion. He has no distress or desire for money, so his meditation can be continuous. He is always absorbed in me, and his attention does not stray to anything else. Although I am all-knowing, I cannot measure his love for me. All I can say is that he loves me very much, and thus I love him in return. Krishna, the Gyanis are attached to you and worship you out of fear of losing their knowledge, isn't it? No, Arjun. Their main objective is devotion. Knowledge is secondary. Therefore, they are Gyanis in name only. They are not like the Gyanis who practice devotion for obtaining knowledge. Rather, this type of Gyani has great attraction for my beautiful blackish form. Those others who practice devotion for knowledge think that knowledge is higher than devotion. Therefore, they give up devotion when they attain liberation. It's obvious that the Gyani is dear to you, Krishna. But what about the other three? Are they not dear to you?
See, here a very important point came up here, if you heard it well. Here he said, when Krishna spoke about this fourth category, Jnani, who is this Jnani? This Jnani is actually a Tesham Jnani Nitya Yukta Eka Bhakti Rushishyate. He has actually become a Bhakta now. He has attained perfection in Bhakti. So there are two types of Jnanis. One type of Jnani thinks that, maybe, after studying all the Vedas, I want to get moksha, liberation from this world, and go to Brahma Jyoti and experience Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. And after studying Shastra, understands that Lord Krishna, Lord Vasudeva has a very great role to play. So he goes to Krishna and begs for knowledge and liberation. That is one type of Jnani. There is another Jnani who acquired knowledge. He came across liberation, moksha. But after getting moksha also, he was not satisfied. He wanted to become a Bhakta of Krishna, devotee of Krishna. Like I told you, two examples. 4 Kumaras and Shukadeva Goswami. So they are the people who have been Jnanis before. But after having met the Lord, tasted His sweetness, understanding His eternity, Lord is present for all time. Then they have fallen in love with the Lord in Bhakti. He says that, Priyohi Jnaninotyartam. And Aham Satya Mama Priya. I am very dear to him and he is very dear to me, he says. And such a Jnani never considers knowledge to be superior to devotion. Rather, he cultivates knowledge to become a devotee. So, like that Krishna explains here. Therefore, I showed you this. Now, what about the other three? You saw distrust and desire of wealth and inquisitive. About them, what Krishna says, you can hear.
Those who come to me and worship me to ask for something, I give it. So they are also dear to me, because out of love they have asked me for something that they need. But the Gyani is like my very self. He never asks nor desires anything, neither heaven nor liberation. Therefore, he is under my protection. The Gyani has rejected impersonal liberation and has made my beautiful form his destination. That is his resolve. As one cannot exist without one's own body or intelligence, so I cannot exist without him. You say that the Gyani obtains you, Krishna. But how long does he actually take to become a devotee? Such a jnani surrenders to me and comes to bhakti after many births, knowing me as everything. Such a great soul is very rare. Krishna, I have understood that those with material desires, in distress, or who want money, achieve their goal by rendering service to you. However, some people have similar problems but surrender to demigods. What is their situation? Their knowledge is taken away, Arjun, because they think that their problems cannot be satisfied by Vishnu. Such a person, who may have a disease, will think that it will quickly be destroyed if he worships the sun god, but it won't happen if he worships Vishnu. Therefore, Rita Jnana, their intelligence is stolen. They do this because they are controlled by their lower nature. And because I'm in their heart as the Supersoul, when they desire to worship some demigod, I make their faith steady. Why aren't they always seen by everyone? I am never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent, Arjun. For them I am covered by my Yoga Maya, and so the deluded world knows me not, who am unborn and infallible. But you should understand that neither external nor internal energy can cover my knowledge. Maya cannot cover its support. Although it covers them, it cannot cover me. Thus, I know everything, past, present, and future. I also know all living entities, but me no one knows. Since when have the living entities become bewildered, Krishna? Since the beginning of...
Okay. Now, see, here you said that even for that fourth category fellow, Jnani, it takes many lifetimes. Bahunam janmanamante jnanaman mam prapadyate. Such a Jnani surrenders to me. With what understanding? Vasudeva sarvamiti. Lord Krishna is all that is. Some Mahatma Sudurlabha, such person is called Mahatma. You know who is Mahatma? Those who are Sankuchita Atma, they think my mother, my father, my family people. Then they think about their caste. Then they think about the state or the country. Or then they love all human beings, but they still kill animals like goats and chicken and cows and all. But those who love all creatures as children of one Supreme Father Krishna, they are called Mahatma. They come to the point of love of God. So we can say, all of you repeat, love God, love all. That is Mahatma. Mahatma means he loves God and he loves all. So they come to that platform, and Krishna says he is the most dearest to him amongst all. And then he said that, but there are people who don't come to you, Krishna, but they go to Devatas and they worship Devatas. What Krishna said about that? He said that all these Devatas in this world, they are approached by people for getting some quick results, material benefits. Isn't it? It is just like, say you got a boil in the hand. Say you go to your friend or your brother or sister and say, I have a boil, it's paining. Like that they're blowing the boil. It's good or not? It feels very good, isn't it? But should you go to a doctor and get an ointment and put it, or get the boil cut and make it proper? Or should you just allow your brother or sister to just blow on the boil so that you will feel nice? So going to demigods is like blowing on the boil. They can't actually solve the problem permanently, but they can give some temporary solution for a while. But again the problems come, like Ravana wanted to get gold and Lanka. He got it. But his lust was not cleared from his heart. Later on he brought the goddess of fortune, Sita, and he was totally destroyed. Bhasmasur went after Shiva also. He wanted a boon to touch the head of somebody and kill them, and he wanted to kill Shiva and take away Parvati. You see? Similarly, Hiranyakashipu went to Brahma. So many of these people going to demigods, you will see that they all become demons. You will see that. So what about all of us in India? We have a lot of affection for even Shiva or Ganesha, Kartikeya and such devatas, Devi and all that. Actually, so Krishna gives a clue that if you have to see them as Deva Narayanangaja, Bhagavatam says that. The devatas are all limbs of the body of the Lord, which means they are all part and parcel of the Lord. They are subservient to the Lord. That's like MLA and MP. Say on a stage, MLA is standing, MP is standing, your Chief Minister is standing, and Prime Minister is standing. You have only one garland with you. Whom will you put it for? You'll put MLA because local MLA you know very well. Isn't it? If you put for MLA, what will happen? Who will feel uneasy? MLA will be shocked. Hey, PM is standing here, you are putting for me. Or if you put for MP, will MP be happy? Or will CM be happy? So we should put garland to whom? Prime Minister. So Krishna is the Prime Minister. And then there are others, other people next to him like Shiva, Brahma, Indra, Chandra, all of them. They are all devatas, assistant to him. So with this understanding of one worship, like I go to Shiva temple and say, oh Shiva, please, you are a great Rama Bhakta, you chant Rama's names, make me also a devotee of Rama. Like that we can pray. Or Saraswati, we can pray, oh Saraswati, please give me intelligence to become a devotee of the Lord. Oh Ganesha, please remove the obstacles on my way of becoming a Krishna's devotee. And they all are worshipping. Ganesh is having a tusk, which he keeps in the lotus feet of Lord Narsimha. And he gets his charge from that. Just like you put a charger for charging. He gets a charge. Yat pada pallava yugam vinidhaya kumbha vanve pranama samaye saganadhiraja. Therefore, original Vigna Vinayak is whom? Narsimhadev, Vigna Vinashak. And from him he gets a charge and he also removes the obstacles. So with this understanding we should worship. Otherwise, antavatu phalam tesham, it will be limited and short. Alpamedisam, people will be very mean-minded and they will keep on. See, the picture shows like a pishach kind of thing. Why? Because material benefits oftentimes make the demons get destroyed eventually. Actually, what is the difference? Lord Krishna will give you your desires after purifying your heart so that it will not harm you. But Devatas will give you without purifying. Devatas can be compared to shopkeepers who are selling you a mithai surrounded by flies. You buy and eat that, you will get sick, you will get fever. But Krishna is like a person who is selling a mithai with a bottle, mithai inside a bottle. There is no fly there. So he will make sure that your heart is purified before he gives. Like Dhruva. Dhruva went with the material desire, Krishna purified his heart and then gave him kingdom. And it didn't affect Dhruva at all. And then here he says that there are people who go to demigods and there are other fellows who avyaktam vyaktim apannam manyante mam abuddhaya. There are some foolish people who think I was impersonal before and now I have become personal Krishna now. Again I will become impersonal. Like that they think. They are impersonalists, Mayavadis. And such people are unintelligent, he says. Devata worshippers are less intelligent and these fellows are unintelligent, he says. And then these are people like envious people like Shishupal, who spoke 99 blasphemies against Krishna. And Krishna didn't kill him because he is blaspheming him. Krishna actually cut off the head of Shishupal so that he doesn't increase his offense and suffer for more lifetimes. So he wanted to save him from suffering more. So therefore Krishna says, like the cloud covers the sun, you can't see it. But when you go in aeroplane above the cloud, then you can see Krishna. Like that Krishna said, these people cannot understand me, atheists and those who present false argument. But Krishna said, I am all-knowing, I know everything. Vedaham samatitani. And why everyone cannot know Krishna? That Krishna explains also. The last part there.
Overcome by the dualities of desire and hate. As soon as birth takes place, one becomes entangled and entrapped. Because of this ignorance, one becomes bewildered and attached. Those who have excessive attachment or excessive aversion cannot become a devotee. Then how does anyone ever become a devotee, Krishna? It seems so difficult. Those persons who have acted piously in previous lives and in this life have come to the end of their sins by the merciful glance of great devotees. Such devotees wander the earth to give mercy to pious souls. Therefore, they get strong faith and then understand me in truth and begin to render service to me with determination. I have explained how some devotees with material desires get those desires fulfilled and come to me. But there is another type of Sakham Bhakta, Arjun. They are people who desire liberation from old age and death. They take shelter and worship my deity and are actually Brahman because they know everything about transcendental activities. After rendering service to me, they get to know me and become liberated. They do not attain devotion though, for that is not their desire. However, those with full consciousness of me, who know me to be the governing principle of this material manifestation, of the demigods, and of all sacrifices, can understand and know me even at the time of death.
So here he says that Ichcha Dvesha Samuttena Dvandva Mohena Bharata. So he says that desire and hate in this world, which is manifesting in the form of lust, anger and greed in this world, makes the living entities bewildered. Bhogavritti will take us away from God, and Sevavritti will bring us closer to His lotus feet. And these type of dualities, there are also other dualities like Sukha, Dukkha, Shita, Ushna, Man, Apaman. If we are going to get caught up in these things, we can never go up. We will get stuck in this world. Therefore, by becoming Krishna's devotee and experiencing a higher taste, we can rise above these dualities. And then he told this very important verse, Yesham tu antagatam papam, jananam punya karmanam. One should put a full stop to sinful activities. So in ISKCON, Prabhupada prescribed 4 principles, Dyutam, Panam, Striyasuna, Yatra, Adharmas Chaturvida. Bhagavatam says this. Gambling, gimme, we call it gimme, remember this gimme. Gambling, intoxication, meat eating and illicit sex. So one should give up gambling because gambling causes tension in the mind and makes us money minded, and for the sake of money we will do anything. And intoxication and meat eating and illicit sex. These 4 are prescribed as they are the prohibitions given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we have to put a full stop to our sinful activities by avoiding these 4. And jananam punya karmanam. How do you do punya karmanam? Shrinvatam Swakata Krishna, Punya Shravana Kirtana. Shrinvatam, like what you are doing right now, you are all hearing this Krishna Katha, that is Punya Karmana. 2 types of hearing. One is hear the Krishna Katha and hear the Krishna Nam by chanting the holy name. If you chant and hear Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and hear it, that is one type of Punya Karma. Another Punya Karma is hearing the Katha like you are all hearing now. And engaging in Navavida Bhakti, 9 types of devotion service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Pasevanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atma Nivedanam. And also various types of services. If you come to any ISKCON temple and connect with devotees, they will share with you what kind of Punya Karmanam they are doing. There are 64 activities Prabhupada Goswami has given us. And you will be floating in bliss doing these activities. You will feel as if you are in Vaikuntha only. You will not feel you are in material world. So by taking to these activities, devotion like visiting a temple of Vishnu or Krishna and bowing down to Lord, circumambulating the Lord, participating in the procession, singing, dancing, eating prasadam, singing bhajans for the Lord, accepting charanamrita, smelling the flower offered to Lord. So many things are there like that. 64 items are there. So they are called Punya Karmana. And then you will become Bhajante Mam Dridhavrata. You will become a strong devotee by doing that, he says. And then there is a 4th type of Sakama Bhakta, one more person who is desiring liberation, he says. This person, you see, is a Yogi Baba, but he has faith in Krishna also. He knows that I want to get liberated from this world, but Krishna can help me for that. So Artho, Jignasu, Artharthi and this type of Mokshakami Bhakta. He is a Mokshakami, he has a desire, and Lord says, no problem, I'll give you. Lord awards him also. And the other Jnani is actually a Shuddha Bhakta. He completely becomes a pure devotee. So in this way, Adi Bhuta means Lord is the master of all the living entities. Adi Daiva means he is the controller of all the Devatas. Adi Yajna means he is the Lord of all the sacrifices that we do, all religious activities. Those who can understand me, at the time of, in full consciousness of me, they remember Krishna, that, oh, Krishna is the master of all Devatas, master of all living things, master of the whole universe. He has created millions of universes. He is a Swami. He is my master too. With that understanding, if somebody leaves the body, they will go back to Krishna, he says, in Prayana Kale. Yeah. So this is the revision of today's class. Krishna said, you have to hear about me. So I elaborately explained about Krishna, how he created the millions of universes through 3 Vishnus and everything. Then everywhere means he is present in every atom. He is present everywhere means Rasoham Abzukaunte, Prabhasmi Shashi Suryayo, Pranava Sarva Vedeshu, Shabdake Paurusham Rishu, Punyoganta Prithiviyam Se Tejas Chasmi Bhava, all those verses where he said he is the essence of everything. He is the cause of everything, essence of everything. In the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he will explain he is the very best of everything. So that second one we understood. And accept, reject. There are 4 types of Dushkritanas who reject Krishna, they don't accept him. And there are 4 types of Bhaktas who come to Krishna, they accept him. And Krishna is very happy with all of them. And he is very happy that my children have come to the right path. Just like a good son and bad son, I told you yesterday. So Lord is very happy with good sons and good daughters who have come to the right path. And those who are turning away, Krishna doesn't ditch them. He is also super soul in their hearts. He goes with them from one body to another, wherever they go, and he provides them the facilities. Even for atheists, he gives rains and grains and everything. He provides. That is his compassion. And he never closes the door of Goloka or Vaikuntha, even for those four category of unsurrendered fellows. He is just waiting that one day they will become purified and they will come back to me. So, he is certainly a very merciful master. And then there are people who don't know Krishna's position, so they turn to devatas, asking for some benefits. They go to different devatas, seeking benefits. And Krishna says that those devatas don't have capability to give the gifts themselves. So, two things he said. I inspire the faith in the heart of the demigod worshipper in the demigods, and I give the demigods with the gifts that they are supposed to give. Just see how Krishna is detached. It's very amazing. For example, Krishna makes the sunflower very beautiful looking. And then he makes the bumblebee get attracted to it. Then he tells the bumblebee, in the heart of bumblebee, says, go to the sunflower. So when bumblebee goes and sees that there is no honey there, but he picks up some pollen, and then he puts it in other sunflowers, and then that's how the pollination happens. Otherwise, the sunflower can never multiply because it has no honey. But he creates that attraction principle in the sunflower and the honeybee's heart. So this kind of things Krishna does. He creates attraction for the devata, and he also instills faith in the heart of the worshipper. He brings them, okay, chalo, as long as you want to do, go with this demigod as many lifetimes as you want. But if you come to me, you will come back to me, he says. So, we have completed the chapter now. This is the revision of the chapter, and tomorrow, 8th chapter is Attaining the Supreme. There are very important verses on, at the time of death, how does the jiva go to the next body. Such details will be mentioned tomorrow. Today I went a little bit late because I had to play that recording also. This one is Purnachandra Maharaj's recording. I believe you all enjoyed it, because I can always understand and make notes and remember and speak it. But the way he has presented it is so effective. I liked it so much, I thought I'll play it as it is for you. So sorry for the delay. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki, Bhakta Vrinda ki, Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki. Thank you very much.